In The Boy and the Heron, there's a scene that feels unlike anything else in the film, a moment where time seems to pause and the architecture of the soul is laid bare. Mojito and Lady Himi step into a majestic hallway inside the mysterious tower. The chaos and strangeness of the outside world fade behind them. The air grows still. They're surrounded by perfectly uniform green doors, each marked with a gold number. Identical chairs rest quietly beneath each one, like guardians or waiting rooms for something unspoken. Above them, the ceiling opens into a cosmic night sky, painted with glowing planets, stars, and golden arches that curve like the ribs of the universe. This isn't just a hallway. This is a corridor between worlds. Together, they pause. Himi glances at the doors, knowing perhaps what they really are. Mojito hesitates but steps forward. One of the doors creaks open, and with no great ceremony, they both cross over into another place, another layer of reality, another version of truth. There's no exposition, no narrator explaining what we're seeing, but we feel it. We know what it is, because we've seen it before, in other films, in myths, in dreams. This is something I like to call the Hallway of Dreams, a symbol as old as storytelling itself, a corridor lined with choices, with memories, with alternate versions of life, a place of possibility, of mystery, of sacred transition. And whether you've seen it in a Studio Ghibli film, dreamt it in your sleep, or glimpsed it in a quiet moment of déjà vu, you know what it is. You recognize the architecture of the in-between. This video is about that place. The Hallway of Dreams is more than just a movie scene. It's a recurring image found in Eastern mysticism, Tibetan Bardo teachings, Hindu dream philosophy, Jungian psychology, and esoteric metaphysical systems like the Akashic Records. It shows up in lucid dreams, near-death experiences, surrealist art, haunted memory, and in the liminal spaces of your own life, when you're between decisions, between identities, or between realities. In this exploration, we'll walk the hallway together. First, we'll break down where this concept appears in film, animation, and modern media, how it creates resonance without explanation, and why audiences immediately understand it. Then we'll uncover the spiritual and psychological roots of the hallway, why humans across cultures keep seeing this structure in their dreams and visions, and what traditions say about the doors we walk past and the ones we choose to open. And finally, we'll ask the question, what lies behind these doors? A question as strange, as staggering, and as quietly profound as the meaning of life itself. Because that's what these doors represent. Not just memories or dreams, but possibility. Echoes, secrets, versions of reality we can barely begin to name. What if this hallway isn't symbolic at all, but a real metaphysical architecture we enter every night, whether we remember or not? Because once you see this hallway, whether in a dream, a film, or the silent spaces between thoughts, you realize something simple and haunting. You've been here before, and some of those doors are still waiting for you. The Hallway of Dreams can be defined as an in-between corridor linking different realms, whether those are stages of consciousness, moments in time, or entirely separate worlds. Symbolically, a hallway is never a final destination. It is a passage that connects places. As one commentator notes, a corridor is a perfect example of a liminal space because it represents a journey between a current location and a destination, and does not function as a place to permanently be in. In dreams and art, hallways thus embody transition, uncertainty, and possibility. Standing in such a corridor, one is betwixt and between, not where one started, but not yet at the end. This makes the Hallway of Dreams a potent metaphor for those moments of change or choice in life, where we sense multiple futures or memories around us, like doors down a passage. Visually, the image is striking, perhaps a dimly lit hall stretching into darkness, doors on either side, or an endless tunnel curving out of sight. This imagery often evokes a mix of curiosity and unease. In dream interpretation, hallways often symbolize transitions or decisions, pathways leading to new experiences or choices, as one dream dictionary explains. The doors that line them may represent options or aspects of oneself. Opening a door might lead to a new opportunity or reveal a hidden part of the psyche. Conversely, a long, endless hallway might reflect uncertainty about life's path or a feeling of being stuck between decisions. In short, the hallway of dreams is a threshold space, a liminal corridor between the known and the unknown, the conscious and the unconscious, the past and the future. Literary symbols reinforce this meaning. In Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, 1865, Alice falls down a rabbit hole and finds herself in a long hall full of locked doors of various sizes. Only by finding a tiny key and courageously shrinking herself can she open the door to the beautiful garden beyond. Carroll's Hall of Many Doors vividly illustrates the idea of a liminal zone between our world and a fantastical realm where each door is a potential gateway. Many other stories and fairy tales begin with a protagonist in a corridor or threshold that leads them from ordinary life into a magical adventure, a symbolic journey from the familiar into the subconscious or the supernatural. The hallway of dreams, then, is rich in symbolism. It is the space between, the pause before transformation, and the myriad possibilities that lie behind each choice, or perhaps each door we encounter. Neil Gaiman's dark fairy tale, adapted into a stop-motion film by Henry Selick, provides a vivid example of a literal hallway of dreams. Bored in her creaky old house, young Coraline finds a small locked door behind the wallpaper. When unlocked, it initially reveals only a brick wall, but later, in the nighttime, that door opens onto a strange tunnel, pulsating with color, that leads Coraline into the other world. She crawls through this glowing passage, which looks like a child's daydream turned real, at first beautiful, later sinister, and emerges in a universe much like her own, except improved. Or so it seems. This beautiful passage, colored in blues and purple lights, enchants Coraline at first, notably as she discovers the truth of that world and the danger of the other mother who created it. The tunnel changes form. It becomes an old, decrepit corridor filled with cobwebs, reflecting the illusion unraveling. The doorway in Coraline symbolizes temptation, the lure of a life that seems better if one is willing to abandon reality. But it is also the only escape route once the dream becomes a nightmare. The imagery of Coraline's hallway, a fleshy, organic tunnel that can rapidly extend or contract, sticks in viewers' minds as a representation of a portal between consciousness and a dream trap. It's a modern, child-friendly take on the hallways that connect to dangerous fairy realms in folklore. In The Boy and the Heron, there's a key moment where Mojito, accompanied by Lady Himi, enters a long, still corridor deep within the tower. The space is quiet, symmetrical, and visually simple. A hallway lined with identical green doors, each marked with a gold number, each accompanied by an empty chair. Overhead, a painted night sky wraps across the ceiling. Planets, stars, and celestial forms that give the impression of suspended time. This scene is not dramatic, it's not loud, but it's critical. Because here the hallway becomes more than just a passage. It becomes a structure of the mind. Each door represents a different reality, a different outcome, or a different state of being. This isn't metaphorical flourish, it's literalized dream logic. Mojito and Himi aren't told what's behind the doors. They aren't guided, but they sense what this place is intuitively, just as many of us do when encountering similar hallways in our own dreams. This space isn't unique to the film. People across cultures and time periods report dreaming of hallways with doors, sometimes numbered, sometimes endless, often silent. The setting feels deeply personal and deeply strange. What makes The Boy and the Heron effective here is not the originality of the image, but its accuracy. This is what it feels like to stand before the unknown. This is the logic of the in-between. Contrast this with other dreamlike corridors in media. In Coraline, the passage to the other world is a soft, breathing tunnel. No doors, just a direct path. In The Boy and the Heron, by contrast, the doors create a framework of choice. The dreamer becomes an agent. The hallway is still strange, still vast, but it offers an interface, something to interact with, not just escape from. The doors matter, because a hallway without doors is a trap, but a hallway with doors suggests that something is being stored or awaits retrieval, a version of you, a life, a truth. In dreams, doors are often thresholds to the deeper subconscious, or even to experiences that feel external to the self, past lives, alternate timelines, hidden memories, and when arranged in an orderly sequence, like in this scene, they begin to resemble something more architectural, like the Akashic records or a soul's blueprint. So what we're seeing in this moment isn't just a plot device, it's a visual representation of something many people feel but rarely describe, and that is the sense that our dreams, especially the deepest ones, have structure, that beneath the randomness there's something intentional, and perhaps somewhere in the dreaming mind there is a hallway, a corridor, with chairs, with doors, and behind one of them something is waiting. David Lynch's television series Twin Peaks, which aired from 1990 to 1991 and 2017, and its film Fire Walk With Me introduced millions to the uncanny vision of the Red Room. The Red Room is an otherworldly locale, an extra-dimensional waiting area that protagonist Agent Dale Cooper enters through his dreams and eventually in reality. It appears as a series of interlinked chambers and hallways draped in red velvet curtains with a black and white chevron pattern on the floor. Time and space behave strangely here. Familiar characters speak in riddles or backward phrases. In the lore of the show, the Red Room is the waiting room, an anomalous extra-dimensional space connected to a haunted forest believed to be part of the mythic Black Lodge. The space is explicitly described as a complex of seemingly infinite rooms and hallways. The red curtains are the only walls, and at times they draw back to reveal an endless black void beyond the patterned floor. This surreal image is a near-perfect encapsulation of the Hallway of Dreams motif. The Red Room is a liminal realm between life and death, where souls of the dead linger, and where a living person might meet their shadow self. Its endless curtain corridors suggest that behind reality lies an infinite maze of deeper truths and dangers. In Twin Peaks, The Return, released in 2017, Lynch doubled down on corridor symbolism. One episode depicts Cooper's astral journey through a purple-hued extra-dimensional facility, where he must navigate a series of rooms and even crawl behind the walls, literally between realities, to escape. Few works have so literally constructed a hallway of dreams as Twin Peaks does, a place audiences recognize instantly by its hall of red curtains, as a symbol of the subconscious and the supernatural entwined. This idea, the hallway, the threshold, the door, didn't begin with modern dream theory or animation. It was there decades ago, right in front of us, flickering on black and white television screens. The Twilight Zone opened every episode with a descent, through clocks, through stars, through a swirling vortex, and then, suddenly, a door just floating there. It swings open slowly, revealing nothing, or maybe everything. This wasn't just a stylish intro, it was symbolic. Rod Serling was preparing you for a journey, not into a different place, but into a different state of mind. The door didn't lead to a specific world. It didn't need to. Its very presence was the invitation. It told you you were about to cross into the unknown, into the unexplained, the uncomfortable, the unseen, and more importantly, you weren't going back the same way you came. That floating door is the earliest mainstream depiction of what we now recognize as a threshold object, a symbolic portal between one plane and another, often seen in dreams, altered states, and metaphysical experiences. It wasn't attached to a hallway. There were no numbered labels or instructions, just a single solitary door hanging in the void. And somehow, we understood it instantly, because even back then, even without explanation, we knew. A door is never just a door. It's a question, one that demands an answer, or maybe just the courage to ask it. These examples show the versatility of the hallway of dreams motif. It appears in children's fantasy, a colorful corridor to a wonderland, and in surreal mystery, red-curtained lodges beyond the veil. Despite differences in tone, they all tap into the same symbolic source. The idea of a space between that must be traversed. This motif captivates us because it visualizes the act of transition or discovery. As viewers or readers, when we see a character walk down a hallway of dreams, we implicitly understand that they are crossing into the unknown, and we feel both the trepidation and thrill of what might lie behind the next door. And perhaps most importantly, the hallway of dreams is not just for characters in stories. It appears in real dreams, over and over. People report walking down long corridors with many doors. In some dreams, you know what's behind a door before you open it. In others, you dread the reveal. Psychologists, spiritual practitioners, and lucid dreamers have all spoken of hallways as a recurring archetype, a structure the mind uses to navigate deeper layers of the self. So when we see this motif in film or hear about it in myth, it isn't just a device, it's a mirror, a reflection of how we move through life, a symbol of how we explore our own mind, a blueprint of how we might access something beyond. That is the hallway of dreams. To understand why the hallway of dreams resonates so deeply, why it appears not only in our media, but also in our dreams, our religions, and our deepest intuitions, we have to look beyond storytelling. This image wasn't born in a screenplay or a novel. It reaches further back into ancient texts, spiritual practices, and even the fundamental architecture of the mind itself. It begins with a feeling that there is something beyond, something we haven't yet accessed, but that we sense is near, a mystery that lives just out of sight, on the other side of a door. The hallway of dreams is the space where that feeling takes shape. In Tibetan Buddhism, the most obvious parallel is the bardo, the intermediate state between death and rebirth. It's not a metaphor, it's a literal realm, described in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, also known as Bardo Todol, as a liminal zone filled with visions, deities, and symbolic experiences. When a person dies, according to this belief, their consciousness doesn't immediately reincarnate, it travels through the bardo. During this time, the individual encounters visions that reflect their own mind, benevolent or terrifying, peaceful or chaotic. The bardo is often described in spiritual literature as a kind of corridor of consciousness, a fluid, often hall-like journey where each passage leads to a new experience, a new choice, or a new realization. In advanced spiritual practice, Tibetan monks prepare for the bardo in life through dream yoga. Dream yoga teaches that the dream state is a rehearsal for death and rebirth. In this training, one becomes aware within dreams, using the dream space not for fantasy, but for enlightenment. Practitioners speak of moving through tunnels and doors, encountering guides or visions behind them, testing whether they can remain lucid when the mind dissolves boundaries between form and void. This isn't fiction. These practices have been taught and passed down for centuries. In this context, the hallway of dreams is real. It is a spiritual space, a personal bardo that you visit every night in sleep, whether or not you remember it. In Hinduism, especially within Vedanta, the soul or Atman is said to pass through countless lifetimes, each one a room, a life experience before it reaches union with the ultimate reality, or Brahman. The Mandukya Upanishad describes 4 states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and turiya, the transcendent 4th state. The dream state is not dismissed as illusion. It's treated as another layer of reality, a more subtle realm that reveals what lies beneath the surface of ordinary life. In this cosmology, the self is layered like a house with doors leading inward to subtler truths. The outer world is a distraction. The inner rooms, reached through meditation, dreaming, or death, contain the real treasure. The soul walks through them, lifetime after lifetime, until it reaches the final room, which has no door at all, only light. Even the idea of karma supports the hallway metaphor. Each action, each life, each choice places you in front of a new door. The hallway is your soul's journey, and you carry the key with you. Some doors open easily, others require growth, and some doors, when opened too early, show you things you are not yet ready to see. In Taoist philosophy, especially the writings of Zhuangzi, there's a famous story. Zhuangzi dreamt he was a butterfly. Upon waking, he wasn't sure whether he had been a man dreaming of a butterfly or a butterfly dreaming of a man. This parable suggests that the boundaries between dreaming and waking are not just blurred, they might be false altogether. From this lens, the hallway of dreams isn't just a metaphor, it could be a literal truth. What we call reality may itself be a dream or a layer of perception within a much larger structure. Doors in dreams then aren't symbols, they are access points. The hallway is the structure that lets you move between illusions. The enlightened person, in Taoist thought, is not the one who escapes the dream, but the one who flows through it freely, unbound by fear or attachment. Now we enter the metaphysical, where belief and mysticism intersect. The Akashic records are said to be a non-physical plane of consciousness, a kind of universal library that contains every event, thought, and emotion across all time. This concept originated in theosophy and was expanded by spiritual figures like Edgar Cayce and Rudolf Steiner. People who claim to have accessed the records describe a vast archive. Some see an endless library, others describe a temple, but many describe something eerily familiar. A hallway lined with doors. Each door opens to a life you've lived or might live. Some doors reveal lessons you need, others hold painful truths. Still others lead to encounters with guides, spirits, ancestors, or even your higher self. In this context, the hallway of dreams is the entry point to the Akashic realm. Cayce would enter a trance, something akin to dreaming, and retrieve information by moving through this higher dimensional space. It wasn't a vague psychic impression. It was structured, spatial, like a building, a corridor. Modern mystics echo this. They claim the dream state, especially lucid dreams or hypnagogic visions, can place you within this hallway. There you can request to open certain doors. Behind them, memories not your own, knowledge you couldn't have consciously acquired, visions that alter how you see yourself and your place in the universe. Whether you accept this literally or metaphorically, the structure persists, a corridor connecting all human experience, with rooms that hold our pasts, futures, shadows, and truths. What else would that be but the hallway of dreams? Now let's pivot to psychology, not to pull the mystery away, but to deepen it. Carl Jung believed that the human mind is composed of multiple layers: the conscious, the personal unconscious, and the collective unconscious. In dreams, he said, we often encounter images not only from our individual life, but from humanity's shared archetypal language. One of his most powerful metaphors is the house as the self. In dreams, a house typically represents the psyche. The floors, rooms, and staircases symbolize different aspects of your personality or memory. The hallways, then, are the connectors, the links between who you were and who you are becoming. Jung wrote, "The dream is a little hidden door in the innermost and most secret recesses of the soul." That quote alone places the hallway of dreams squarely within Jungian psychology. The dream is a door, the soul is a house, the journey inward is a corridor. It isn't random. The mind chooses this structure because it understands it intuitively. It makes sense, emotionally and spiritually. Jung also spoke of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we repress. In dreams, we might find the shadow waiting behind a locked door, or we might find a forgotten childhood room, representing our inner child. We might meet the anima or animus, the soul's inner masculine or feminine, in another room. In this way, walking down the hallway of dreams is a journey through the archetypes of your own being. Each door you open is a confrontation, a healing, a lesson. Hallways are a universal symbol. We've all walked them. They're part of schools, hospitals, homes, and hotels. They're familiar, but when empty, they're also uncanny. Stripped of people and purpose, they feel too quiet, like they're hiding something. In dreams, this is amplified. A hallway without windows, endless, with soft lights and indistinct sounds. It feels like a memory you never had, a place you've always known but never visited. That uncanny familiarity is not an accident. Psychologically, it reflects a deep archetype, the liminal space, the in-between. We fear it, but we also seek it, because that's where transformation happens. Anthropologists studying rituals coin the term liminality to describe the phase between stages. Initiates are no longer who they were, but not yet who they'll become. In dreams, hallways reflect this perfectly. You've left something behind. You haven't yet arrived. You're in transit, but every door, every step, might be a rebirth. That's what makes the hallway of dreams so emotionally charged. It speaks to how humans experience change, not as clean breaks, but as passages. We don't leap from one identity to the next. We wander. We drift. We open doors, some too early, some too late, some by accident. And in those quiet moments of exploration, within dreams, within memories, within meditation, we find ourselves once again in the hallway. This is where science stops and the mystery begins. If we take the spiritual view seriously, then the hallway of dreams isn't just a psychological construct. It's a shared place, a crossroads that dreamers, mystics, shamans, and wanderers have all stumbled upon in different ways. Some see it in dreams, others reach it through rituals. Others still, during near-death experiences, describe a tunnel, with doors of light, voices calling, visions appearing. From the Bardo to the Akashic records, from Jung's dream architecture to the astral projections of mystics, the idea persists. There's a hallway. It's not physical, but it's real enough to leave a mark. In this view, the hallway is not imagined. It's accessed. It is the structure of the self, the soul's map, the corridor of truth, a place between dimensions where choice, memory, and potential are stored like rooms in an eternal house. So when you find yourself in a dream, walking down a hallway filled with doors, ask yourself, are you dreaming or remembering? Because maybe, just maybe, the hallway of dreams is waiting for all of us. And what's behind those doors might be more than we've ever dared to believe. You've stepped into the hallway. It's quiet here. Time doesn't behave the way it should. You can't see the end, maybe there isn't one. And lining the walls, stretching far in both directions, are doors. Some are wooden, others are metal. One looks like it's from your childhood home. Another hums with light behind it. Some feel warm, others cold. A few give off a strange, pulsing presence, like they know you. This is the final stage of the hallway of dreams, the question of what lies behind each door. It's not just the structure of the hallway that fascinates. It's the invitation, the possibility, the choice, the mystery. In this part, we'll explore the purpose of the hallway, the symbolic and spiritual interpretations of the doors, and ultimately ask, is this just imagination? Or is it a kind of map, a spiritual architecture that reveals who we are, who we've been, and who we might yet become? Let's begin with the simplest possibility. Each door is a memory, something real, stored in your subconscious. You open one and step into a summer afternoon from childhood. Another reveals the day you made a difficult decision. Some doors are locked because the memory is repressed. Some are blurry, forgotten. Many people report dreams in which they revisit childhood homes, schools, or events they haven't thought of in years. These spaces feel real, even more detailed than in waking life. The hallway here becomes a kind of library of the soul, and each door is a file drawer. In dreams, it's common to feel as if you're exploring memories, not just passively remembering, but reliving. The hallway is not just metaphor, it's the internal architecture of your life, but sometimes the scenes we enter in dreams aren't familiar. We walk into rooms that belong to someone else. We see landscapes from eras we've never lived in, ancient cities, foreign rituals, distant wars, and yet we feel something stir in us, recognition, emotion. This gives rise to a more esoteric interpretation that behind each door is a past life. If we take into consideration the philosophy of reincarnation, the soul has walked many paths before. And those lives, those stories, are not erased. They're stored, The hallway then becomes your soul's record, stretching across lifetimes. When you dream of being someone else somewhere else, it may not be fantasy, it may be remembrance. One door might reveal you as a painter in Paris, another a monk in Tibet, another a soldier in a forgotten war. You've walked these hallways before, now you're returning. Some spiritual teachers suggest that before birth, the soul walks this hallway, reviewing what has been, choosing what's next. In this sense, the doors are portals to incarnation. Each one is a timeline, a life, a lesson. The hallway is your preparation room. Behind each door, a version of you that once was, or might still be. Now let's push further. What if the doors don't just reveal the past, but also the ever present? One of the most compelling uses of the hallway image is in representing alternate timelines. The lives you could have lived. The you that stayed in your hometown. The you that said yes instead of no. The you that chased the dream or didn't. This concept isn't new. Philosophers and physicists alike have entertained versions of the many worlds theory. The idea that for every choice, a new universe branches off. In dreams, this often shows up as startling familiarity with unfamiliar lives. You're married to someone else. You have children you don't recognize, but you love them. You work a job you've never had, and it all feels right, like you're living another life, even if only for a moment. In these dreams, waking up can feel like a loss, as if you left something real behind. So what if the hallway of dreams connects these lives? Each door is a thread in the tapestry of what could be. You don't just imagine these lives, you visit them, you feel them, and some spiritual traditions believe that the soul can carry wisdom from one life into another, not just across time, but across space. Some even suggest we live multiple lives simultaneously, and dreams are how the soul keeps in touch with its other versions. The hallway, then, is a corridor between all yourselves. Behind each door, the roads you didn't take, the dreams you set down, the versions of you that might still exist in parallel. It's deeply moving to consider that those selves might still be out there. And in dreams, you meet them, not to be haunted by regret, but to understand who you are by who you might have been. Sometimes the doors don't lead to lives or memories at all. Sometimes they lead to figures, a shadowy man, a glowing woman, a child version of yourself, a monster, a god. These aren't just dream characters, they are archetypes, and they appear because something in you is ready to meet them. According to Carl Jung, these figures live in the collective unconscious. They're not you, but they are yours. The hallway in this context is a map of your inner world. Each door leads to a different facet of the psyche. One door might open to the shadow, the part of you you've denied or repressed. It might appear as a twisted figure, a room of chaos, a version of yourself you're afraid to acknowledge. Another door might reveal your anima, or animus, your inner feminine or masculine energy. These figures often appear in dreams to guide or challenge you. A third door could reveal the child, representing your original innocence, creativity, or wound. Further down, you might find the sage or wise old man, your inner guide, sometimes appearing as a librarian, a shaman, or a stranger who knows your name. These aren't hallucinations, they're encounters, and by engaging with them, we integrate parts of ourselves. In this model, the hallway of dreams becomes a temple of initiation. The dreamer is not a wanderer, they are a seeker. Every door is a lesson, every room is a trial or a teaching. This is also the structure of many myths. The hero enters a strange place, a temple, a castle, or a maze. The hero must pass through challenges, meet archetypal figures, and emerge transformed. Dreams follow the same pattern, and the hallway is where the journey begins. In deeper dream states, meditations, or mystical visions, some individuals report experiences that do not feel like dreams at all. These are visions with clarity, coherence, and a sense of sacred presence. Many describe finding themselves in a vast hallway, marble floors, endless arches, glowing doors. Sometimes there are guides, other times you're alone. What is this place? To some, it is the Akashic Records, the archive of every thought, action, and event across all of time. In these visions, the hallway leads to a central library. But before you get there, you must walk past many doors. Some are yours, some are not. Some are open, others require permission. Behind one, you might relive a moment from childhood with total clarity. Behind another, you see a life you haven't yet lived, but somehow know you will. Those who have accessed this realm often say it feels more real than reality. The hallway is luminous, intelligent, alive. It's as if the space is aware of you. It responds. You are not dreaming. You are remembering something deeper, older. Whether you believe in the Akashic records as literal or symbolic, the image of the hallway persists. It's not a coincidence. The structure of the corridor, passage, choice, transition is how the soul presents deep truth. You don't absorb it all at once. You walk, you open, and you discover. Not every door is kind. Some are locked, some slam shut, some lead to terrifying scenes like a former partner's apartment, a hospital room, a dark forest, or an old classroom. We all have them. The rooms we avoid because we know what's inside. In dreams, when you pass a door and feel something behind it, that's often your subconscious pointing at a wound, trauma, regret, something unresolved. The hallway becomes a kind of mirror, not to punish, but to invite you to heal. Some dreams show us doors that disappear before we reach them, or ones we can't open no matter how hard we try. This isn't failure, it's information. It tells you what's buried or what you're not yet ready to face. And sometimes, years later, that same door reappears. This time, it opens. The hallway of dreams is patient. In many spiritual traditions, the journey of the soul is depicted as a passage through various realms, each presenting its own challenges and revelations. This journey often culminates at a profound threshold, the final door, symbolizing the transition from the temporal to the eternal, from the known to the ineffable. Accounts of near-death experiences, NDEs, frequently echo this motif. Individuals report traversing tunnels or corridors bathed in light, culminating in the presence of a door or gate. Crossing this threshold often signifies a point of no return. Some individuals choose to turn back, while others pass through, reporting encounters with a realm of profound peace and unconditional love. For instance, Tessa Romero, after being clinically dead for 24 minutes, described an overwhelming sense of peace and relief, free from physical and emotional pain. Scientific studies have sought to understand these phenomena. Research published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience recorded brain activity in a dying patient, revealing patterns similar to those observed during dreaming or memory recall. This suggests a neurological basis for the vivid experiences reported during NDEs, including the perception of traversing a tunnel toward a bright light. In many mystical traditions of spirituality, the soul's journey involves ascending through various spiritual planes, each marked by its own challenges and revelations. The culmination of this journey is the encounter with the Supreme Being, a state beyond physical existence characterized by infinite love and wisdom. This ultimate destination resonates with the concept of the final door, representing the soul's union with the divine, or, to put it more frank, the soul's reunion with God, its creator. Similarly, in Christian mysticism, the final threshold is often depicted as the passage into the presence of God. The Bible speaks of Jesus as the door to salvation and eternal life, emphasizing the transformative nature of this passage. This aligns with the experiences of individuals like Betty Eady, who, during her near-death experience, reported an encounter with a being of light she identified as Jesus Christ, experiencing an overwhelming sense of love and understanding. The concept of ascending through spiritual planes to reach a state of divine union underscores a universal theme across spiritual traditions: the soul's inherent longing to return to its origin, to merge with the infinite. This ultimate destination, whether termed the kingdom of heaven, nirvana, the realm beyond dissolution, the true home of the soul, or the throne room of God Almighty, it represents the fulfillment of the soul's deepest yearning and the realization of its true nature. We began with something undefined, a hallway, not even a question, just an image, a recurring space lined with doors, showing up across dreams and media, art and memory. We didn't know what it meant, only that it meant something, that it felt important, ancient, familiar. At first it seemed like metaphor, a structure for storytelling, a way to visualize choice, memory, possibility. We saw it in Alice in Wonderland, The Boy and the Heron, in Coraline, in Twin Peaks, in the surreal spirals of the Twilight Zone. Sometimes the hallway had doors, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes it was a trap, sometimes it was a path, but always, it felt like we were being shown something just beneath the surface. And so we followed it. We walked the hallway through dreams, myths, and mysticism. We traced it through the lenses of Eastern spirituality, Western psychology, ancient cosmologies, and near-death experiences. And gradually, the hallway stopped being a symbol and started to become a structure. Not physical, but real. Not imagined, but remembered. It wasn't random, because the more we looked, the more we realized. The hallway mirrors the architecture of the soul, and surrounding that structure, distorting it, distracting us, confusing us, is what the spiritual traditions of the East refer to as Maya. Maya is the veil, the illusion, the dream of the world that makes us forget we are dreaming. Maya makes us believe that the physical is all there is, that time is linear, that death is final, that the mind is the master. It is not evil. It is not a trick. It is part of the design, a challenge, a riddle, a necessary fog we must learn to see through. The hallway of dreams exists within Maya, but it also leads through it. Each door we pass, whether in sleep or spiritual vision, brings us closer to what's real. We move through memories, past lives, archetypes, and alternate selves. We face what we've hidden. We glimpse what we've forgotten. And at the end, always at the end, there is one final door. The one that doesn't open to another dream, but to something else. Call it truth, call it source, call it God. We started with something vague, a hallway we could barely name. And somehow, through story, myth, and mystery, we arrived at an answer. Not a theory, not a metaphor, but a presence. What lies behind the doors is vast and varied, but what lies at the end of the hallway is the reason the hallway exists at all. This world may be an illusion, but the journey is real, and something waits for us, not in a dream, but at the end of it. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more explorations like this.